Thank you very much, Annie. She's joined me here, but she's joined me because I want to congratulate her for a fantastic coverage. The Metro TV coverage on Saturday through to Sunday was excellent. I was watching throughout the day, and I was really hooked. So how did you guys work to put together such a great performance? Camera angles, the interviews you conducted, the events on the field, and if you look at what happened on the field when the policemen were looking for somebody, Obodai is the only one who actually covered it like that, and other stations talked about it before they came there, but we had it live, the policemen going in and out, and Obodai actually complaining that the policeman is manhandling the cameraman, etc., etc. That the coverage was great. How did it happen?
I don't know where you want to see, because normally when we go for some productions, I know you were busy, but I somehow was looking for you. But I would say that kudos to the creative team and the technical team. At some point on the field, I was even surprised at some of the shots we were getting. We were getting some very, very interesting shots.
That was the best part.
Exactly, and I was looking for, and I was looking for, where are the other cameras, where are their positions, and how are they getting these shots? And it really helped those of us on air, because it gave you more information that others, competitors didn't have, and you could describe well to people for them to understand. Honestly, at some point I had, when you saw the interview with the education minister, your friend?
Yes.
Right. So he was watching apparently. So when he got the chance to sit down, I asked the first question and he just ignored the question and said, you know what, I just want to congratulate you. And I was watching you and it was good and everything.
No, the coverage was excellent.
And guess what? This afternoon, Atwahoy of the NDC called me, and you know Atwahoy won't just call, but when he called, he was congratulating Metro TV and he admired. Interestingly, he comes from NDC.
The coverage was massive.
And
the coverage
was
was really good.
So we are grateful to ourselves, everyone that played a role, the creative team, the technical team, cameramen, producers, presenters.
The one who was directing the cameraman, I was talking to Nat this evening, and Nat Lai was telling me that credit should also go to the one who was directing the camera shots.
Nee was also there. Nee was the one, I think he was the leader for the technical team, and he was doing all the direction and the directing for everything that we had to do. The screens that we were using. You know, at some point in time, when you're doing outside production, there are some resources you will need that will give you, if not perfect, close to perfect. But I'm telling you, we didn't get close to half of what we needed.
I see.
And you're our boss. So I'll just make an open appeal. If we have little...
you need more resources to make these things happen.
But this was great. We made the best out of it.
So we are planning a party on next week Saturday for the crew here. And then... but let's come to next week Saturday. Let's come to your part.
I have to add that when we, the production started in-house. Of course, we had to plan with promos. We had to do creative arts. Some of the NPP guys saw our promos and they were shocked. You guys did promo? I'm like, yes. So it was even after which I saw other media houses also having promos come out.
What really killed me, I was talking to Ransford about it, the screen in the studio where Bridget and Moro did their work, and then Bright also joined them. They had the MPP flag shaking, on the screen.
You don't mention Akwesi.
That was great.
I met Akwesi on the stairs, and I said, Akwesi, that flyer, that what's it called, flag that's waving.
Yeah, it's waving,
And then he mentioned one of his guys, I think one of his new guys on board. Interesting. I loved it because Bridget and Moro, I think, were coming to start the analysis Friday night. So that was what we needed for the back screen, and it was amazing. When I saw it, I loved it. I saw Akwesi, I was looking for him. I said, "This is nice. This is great."
We need to congratulate him. Who was getting the interviews for you? That's also.
So I had Henry, of course.
So which part of the stadium were you sitting when we saw that
okay, so when you enter the stadium. I think it's a VIP side.
Yeah, so you were behind the VIP.
I should believe that's a VIP side. So once you enter the stadium, straight from the gate, the main gate, straight ahead of you, you climb the staircase. The first, space there. We were right in a corner.
Okay.
So
that's not a fantastic space, but you used it very well.
But we used it well. I think we used it well. At some point, we were because we didn't put a back drop or stage. it gave people the freedom to be moving, and they were inconveniencing us. So the police, the security had to come in and stop that. There's a production going on here. So once you walk across, you're walking on the set. They had to redirect people. At some point, we were inconveniencing people, and I felt uncomfortable.
So people were bringing, the producer was bringing you the guest for the interviews.
Exactly.
And then
you
did a good job. I sent you a text in the middle of it that this is fantastic.
Yes.
I saw the interview with Gabi. I saw the interview with the transport minister. That was great. Duchum came in. But the best was the Kennedy Japan interview.
I mean, I think Kennedy Japan showed up later in the day. He wasn't there in the morning because of the production. We all had to go very early in the morning. And so we were there throughout, and then Kennedy Japan showed up. You know, I mean, he carries a little bit of some charisma. So once he's present, everybody just feels that he's around. So Henry just prompted me, Kennedy Japan is around. I said, Henry, I'm tired. He said, no, honey, we have to do this. So he and Abdallah, somehow he was on Oman when he first came. He was on Oman set. We saw him sitting there. So when he finished, he went on the stage, like onto the studio where the walkway is, and waving at some fans somehow. So later I was there and they said, sit down, Kennedy Japan is in. So I sat. And it was exciting to have him.
It was good. And your questions were not just about the Congress, and that's the part that excited me. Your questions were about current affairs. So you asked Educhum about shortage of food, which was great. And then you asked Gabi about propaganda. I like that. And then I think he enjoyed that question too. And then Kennedy Japan, you got him to talk about the difficulties he has. This his issue about getting 2 people in the military that didn't work. It's gone viral. Everybody's talking about it. And I'm not sure why he was upset, but people have to pass medicals.
I actually asked him, you sound upset. Honestly, because I was there, I could tell he was really upset.
But what he said, really, far from it being negative, was actually positive for the government. That the fact that you bring somebody doesn't mean that they will relax the rules for the person. Really, that's how I saw it.
So if you watched, I actually asked him, you don't think it had to do with maybe
qualification? Yeah, I heard you say that.
Right.
And he said one was political science, one was school of admin. But he said they failed medicals. But if you're going to the military, medicals is key.
It's key.
So if you fail medicals, too bad.
But I thought it was also a good thing for the government. And I said, you know, when a president takes charge of a country, he's no more president for the party. He's now a national president. So for all you know, maybe your 2 slots were given to some opposition persons, and he obviously didn't like it. He said, well, if you want to give it to them. When you want the votes, don't count them.
He said he's chairman of Defense and Interior Committee. But how did you see the conduct of the Congress itself?
My whole interviews, every guest that came on, everybody that watched could tell that I was congratulating everybody. Everyone.
The organization was great.
Yes, it was apt. I think the only thing that minused the program was the late start, which we didn't understand why. Give us a time, maybe by 9 a.m. we should start, and we're starting around
midday,
2 p.m.,
like
3 p.m. 3 p.m. I remember when the president
I think it was 3 p.m. when they were announcing the people to do the voting.
Yeah, that was when we started praying. And I thought that was quite bad. That was bad. Because it marred every beautiful thing that...
So journalists were there from 9 o'clock?
And they were patient.
From 7 o'clock,
I'm telling you, from some came at 5 a.m.
Yeah, to set up.
Because remember, sometimes even original TV set up right opposite Metro TV. By the time we got in, I think it was Oman TV that had moved our things from there, and they occupied the space.
Wow.
Exactly. So, and we couldn't find them. We thought, okay, fine, we will manage. So we also moved, don't worry, it's one of the studio staff. So we also moved into the middle of the space, and we all, fit there. So I think that was cool. But you have to come early, because if you don't come, you will be overtaken.
So journalists had been there that long, all the time?
Yeah.
Wow.
The whole time.
The
space is not paid for, so you have to come.
What about the results? I mean, as a journalist who was covering the Congress, were you interested in who wins what?
Let me tell you my picks. So I obviously had chairman in team. He was my pick. Why? Because I had gone through his attempts previously and his composure afterwards. And
after each of the failures.
And I thought, you must be a good man, and you must have a very good emotional intelligence, which I asked George Under is one of his members of the communication campaign team of Inteam.
Okay.
So I asked him, your boss seems to have a very good, emotional intelligence. He said, yeah, of course he does, and he has a good marketing strategies as well. So it's interesting to work with him. He agreed with me, so I thought he was my pick for chairman.
Okay.
And then when you come to
the general secretary was the big story.
The general secretary, do you know? I had a post about 4 days ago or 3 days ago about Kodia. I just picked one of his flyers. I haven't met him before. He's not my friend. I've never interacted with him on any platform before. But I had seen him and followed his communications. And I thought, this guy is interesting. I think I wouldn't mind him winning. So I posted him. And then for some joke, I just wrote, Afa TV. So Obama, if you're watching, good evening to you. So I just said, vetted and approved by Sir Obama Pukwasi.
Yeah.
So Sir Obama came to comment and he's like, Mr. Preneur Annie, I'm like, you watch, he will win. When he won, for me, even though I predicted he could win, it was a shock to me because, John Boadu was
larger than life.
Exactly. He was all over the place. I was thinking, hey, is my prediction going to win or lose? But when he won, I wasn't too surprised, but I would be surprised that John Boadu still lost. And it tells you, of course, fear delegates, as Sir John would say, it is time politicians really study delegates, especially when you are tested and proven as a politician. And you think you're so experienced, you are grounded in the job. You can't go for a competition and lose. You need to check the delegates again and be sure that they're giving you all the fanfare. It cannot be the same. It cannot be the same. And from chairman, secretary, we had an incumbent. I had Gabi Asarachedaku giving that analysis. He thought that because chairman is likely we're going to have a new person, he thought it would be better to have an old person at the general secretary level to support and balance the situation. So he wished that the old person could have, would have won or something like that, but it didn't happen that way. And the women organizer as well. That was a
massive victory.
That was
total landslide.
I thought it's possible she will win. But the landslide nature of it
massive statement.
Was
and the undercurrents is that KGM4 had difficulty with Galamsey.
Yeah.
They seized her equipment and she was completely broken.
You've heard, or we heard a lot of people. Ellen comes on Good Morning Ghana often. So sometimes when she comes, I mention her. You have people sending messages and they will say, oh, the current women organizer, she's not really doing anything. She doesn't communicate. She's not really active. She's this, she's that. So you would think that, is it likely? Yeah. They had...
But her support base from the grassroots looked like it was massive.
Massive. So, and youth organizer, it was difficult for me to predict between SM and Guma. Because Guma came in the latter part. But SM had been, in the lead for a while. And then later, the subsequent polls that were coming were showing as though Guma was going to disturb SM, only for it to come on. SM still,
After the analysis that we do on the touchscreen about the results, you and I will talk to Dr. Smart, who did a polls prediction. And he predicted that there will be a neck and neck between Kodia and John Boadu. So we'll talk to him about what else he predicted. So
he predicted a neck and neck?
Yes, that's what he says. Okay. He'll show it to us. Let's go on to the touchscreen now and begin with congratulating our Metro TV team. We'll show you their photographs so you can tell. And we have a party for them. You can attend the party on Saturday when we do
That's
it.
That's a surprise to me. I didn't know that.
Nat and I have planned it. It's going to happen.
Great.
Okay, so...
Nat was with us, so I have to let you know. He was with us, like he grinded through the night with us.
So we'll go on the touchscreen now and then we'll see the Metro TV team. And then we'll do some analysis of the results. I have some interesting videos to show you. Some you have seen already, some you will see now. And then we'll talk about who benefits or who is excited, which presidential candidate is excited about the event at the Accra Sports Stadium during the MPP National Delegates Congress. Join me on the touchscreen right now. Okay, so as we promised, we cannot but to say something about each of the key people who were at the stadium to present that fantastic coverage for Metro TV. And I begin with Mr. Nadlai. Nadlai is very experienced, you know. He's the head of programs, and I have a personal relationship with Nat because he was my boss in 1998 when I was reading news at TV3, and that's where I met him. I've known him since then. And I also know his family because he married from TV3, so we all know about that. So that's not his. He worked at TV3 for long, and during the 2016 World Cup, we asked him to come to Metro TV to assist us with the production. Nat is one of the greatest producers that you can have, especially for live events. And at Studio B in Kanda, they used to do it all the time. So Nat was one of the brains behind what you saw on Saturday. Thank you very much, Nat. Next is our news editor, Bright Nana Amfo, a news editor. He was in charge of the journalists, the broadcast journalists, the content, what kind of interviews they do, what they present. And he also came into the studio. He mounted the studio himself at some point. So very interesting and very hard work he did. He kept sending me text messages upon text messages, and we communicated throughout the period. He has also done a very good job. Thank you, Bright. Thank you. Really good. And then we have Abdallah Mohammed. He's our man. He's our man on the beat in Parliament all the time. Abdallah is, we spoke and he was asking me, Chairman, when are you coming to the stadium? I said, I'll be there. Abdallah is a very, very hard worker. And you are talking about somebody who can get you interviews during the live events. You can rely on Abdallah. He's always in Parliament for us. And one of his best and favorite MPs is the Yendi MP. Farouk Aliu Mahama is his man. He doesn't like me saying that. Abdallah Mohammed, thank you very much. And then there is also Henry Kwesi Bedu. Henry Kwesi Bedu is a senior producer and broadcast journalist, and he was also there trying to put things together, helping us to achieve that great coverage. Thank you very much. Henry is very hardworking. And then one of my favorite reporters over here, Eugenia Akofa Kumi Williams. Eugenia is our reporter at the presidency, and she is just a fantastic reporter. Any information you want, Eugenia always has it. And recently she got married, so she's happier and she's doing excellent for us. Eugenia took over the interviews at some point when Annie was tired, and she continued with the great work. Thank you very much, Eugenia. That's excellent. And then Sandra Ofosu Dewonu is based at the studio. She's like the producer in charge, and she puts all the little pieces together. She reminds them, and she usually produces news with Annie, with Bridget Otu. She's behind the scenes, so you don't see her, but it's a particularly hard-working woman. Thank you very much, Sandra. Excellent work, excellent. Of course, this is Annie Ampo for that. You just heard me speak to her, and she does good morning, good evening, news, good afternoon, all that. Always available to help. Thank you very much, Annie. And then Bridget Otu is here. Bridget sat in the studio for many hours in the studio and was here in the studio coordinating with the stadium. And whenever the stadium didn't have immediate content, they'll come back to the studio and Bridget will take it over, and she ran through all the interviews. Of course, at some point, she was tired. She had been doing interviews from 4 p.m. up till about midnight. And Bridget did excellent. Thank you very much, Bridget. And then Moro Audu, my main man, Moro Audu, was with Bridget here in the studio, and they were also coordinating and granting interviews, talking, and also searching. You see, what the people in the studio do sometimes, they are monitoring other stations. So if there's anything that we have missed, and some station has started talking about it, and they can alert those at the stadium and say, shift to the right, it looks like there's a problem there, etc., etc. So that's what all those in the studio were doing, and Moro was one of those leading the charge here. Thank you very much, Moro. This is Derek Adote. Derek Adote is a broadcast journalist, and he's an assistant producer. And a lot of the legwork and all of that is done by young people like this. They are young, they are brave, and they are not intimidated, and they can think. And that's why we like working with young people. Derek is one of them, Derek Adote. Thank you very much. And then there is Elvis Ando, who is a court correspondent. He works for us. He goes to the court all the time to get information. Now he was deployed at the stadium to work, and he did an excellent job. Thank you very much, Elvis. Also, here is the man. Here is Gabriel ni Obodai Torgbor-Ashong from Labadi. He's my brother from Labadi. And I like his coverage. The particular part that was exciting was that he gave Metro TV an exclusive. Obodai was the only one who captured the police issue, the small little issue that occurred. Later on, we were told that the police, were told that the police were looking for somebody. Obodai was the one who captured it, and the policeman was harassing his cameraman, and he said it onto camera. The camera was moving like that. I got worried. I started making phone calls. What is happening in the stadium? And then I was told that Samia Oku is gone down to deal with it. Eventually, it was dealt with. They wanted a journalist out of the inner perimeter after the tabulation was almost over. Obodai got that one bit by bit. Everything that happened, from the boots of the policemen raising it up to their body and their uniforms, and they are moving together, how they were coordinating the place of Obodai, got everything on camera. And other stations then, radio and all that were covering. Obodai, that was an excellent job. I owe you something, anything. That's Obodai Tobomen. So this is Bright Nana Kwesi Amenin. Nice guy, always excited, and he's very excited about the work. That's what you get with young people. When they come in and they're excited about the work, they're happy with the work that they are doing. You get that with young people. That's excellent. And then this is Kenneth JC, one of our brilliant news readers. He was also on the beat that day. Nice guy. Okay. Then we also have Kofi Asante. Now, Kofi Asante is in charge of technical. So everything technical. So if the event is on TV and the pictures begin to pixelate, I pick my phone, I call Kofi Asante, and I say, Kofi, what's happening? And then he will explain and say this and that. And I gave me assurances that we are fine on data, we are fine on everything, everything is going to be cool. I told him I'll be at the stadium, but I didn't get to go. But Kofi Asante was fully in charge of the technical production. Thank you very much, Kofi. Next is Leonard Nikwe. Leonard is the head of camera. Now, if you want, so I talked about the shots, the angle shots, didn't I? I mean, the kind of shots that we got on Saturday, it was totally amazing. It's not because I work here, but it was great. I mean, what we do is that we're monitoring all the stations, but for hours upon hours, I stayed on Metro TV. I was listening to Radio on Joy. I was listening to CT. I was listening to Oman FM. Where I was surrounded by gadgets, and I was just monitoring everything and picking everything. And I didn't want to be disturbed, so I was alone. And I monitored all the stuff, and I was just making my notes. But I kept on Metro TV because the exclusives were just coming. Exclusive shots of what is happening, how they were capturing the things that were happening. It was amazing. Earlier today, Nat told me the secret. I will not share with you. Watch out for Metro TV's coverage at the next Congress. Nikwe was in charge of camera. Thank you very much, Nikwe. And then next we have, okay, it looks like that is it. So that was the leadership of the crew. A lot more people participated, but this is the leadership of the crew. Thank you very much, everyone who helped Metro TV achieve a fantastic coverage of the NPP National Delegate Congress.